南无大方广佛华严经，华严海会佛菩萨。南无大方广佛华严经，华严海会佛菩萨。
Homage to the great means expensive Buddha's Flower Adornment Sutra and the Oceanic Flower Adornment Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。
The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning.
正身端坐，当愿众生作菩提座，心无所着。
When sitting upright and proper, I vow that living beings will sit on the Bodhi seat and be without any attachments in their minds.
结跏趺坐，当愿众生善根坚固，得不动地。
When sitting in the full lotus posture, I vow that living beings will have solid roots and attain the ground of stillness.
听讲经时，当愿众生顺佛所说，总持不忘。
When I listen to the sutra lecture, I vow that living beings will accord with what the Buddha says and unite with and uphold it without forgetting any.
诸佛菩萨、师父上人、各位善知识，今天是公元2022年6月1日，星期三，我们继续研究发菩提愿。
Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, Dharma Masters, and all who as advisors on Mitoful. It is June 1st, 2022. It's Wednesday night. We will continue studying how to make Bodhi vows.
第一天的时候，我们有大略的开一个头，就是看了净恨品的一开始，智首菩萨问文殊菩萨的一段文。
So on the first day, we started with the Pure Conduct chapter, and we read a passage on how the foremost leader Bodhisattva, foremost wisdom Bodhisattva, inquire of Manjushri Bodhisattva.
就是那天我们有比较详细解释嘛，他问了110种殊胜的美妙的功德，怎么得到这种110个圣妙功德的问题。
Okay, so that day we have explained in detail on how one can attain 110 kinds of supreme and wonderful merit and virtue.
那天只是讲了其中的10个。
We only talked about 10 of them the other day.
对，就是你们看到的了哈，怎么得到你的身口意业是没有过失、不害、不可毁、不可坏、不退转、不可动、殊胜、清净、无染跟自为先导的身语意业。
This is what you see on the screen. So the 10 of them are: how do we attain flawless, non-harming, unruinable, indestructible, non-retreating, immovable, supreme, purity, undefiled, body, speech, and mind.
还有最后一个
which is
最后一个
the last one is takes wisdom as its foremost guide. Sorry.
然后文殊师利菩萨呢就回答了。
Manjushri Bodhisattva answered.
这一段我们也有讲解过哈，现在读一读好了。善哉佛子，汝今未遇多所饶益，多所安隐，哀悯世间，利乐天人，问如是意。
So we read this before, but we'll read it again. Good indeed, disciples of the Buddha. Now for the sake of wishing to bring about much benefit for beings, to cause them much peace and security, to take pity on those of the world, to benefit and delight God and humans, you have asked about such meanings.
好，然后呢，他就说了，佛子，若诸菩萨善用其心，则获一切圣妙功德。
Okay, so the answer is, disciples of the Buddha, if all bodhisattvas can skillfully use their minds, they will attain all supreme and wonderful merit and virtue.
整个金汉品呢，最核心的就是这4个字哦，你们要记得哦，善用其心。
Okay, so for the entire Pure Conduct chapter, the core, the essence is these 4 Chinese characters. Skillfully use their minds, or the minds.
只要呢，你不管遇到什么境界，你善用其心哦，你当下那个念头哦一转哦，是善用你的智慧去动这样子的念头的话，你当下就可以获得一切圣妙的功德，已经种下很强大的功德，将来呢，你就是会结这么殊胜的功德。
Okay, so regardless of what states we encounter, if we can turn our thoughts, then at that very present moment, you will obtain supreme, wonderful merit and virtue, which is quite strong, quite powerful. Then in the future, that's also the fruition you will reap.
就是要善用你那个，不只是 turn， 你 turn 呢还要很有智慧的去动那个念头。
Okay, so it's not just turning the thought, but it's skillfully turning the thought, meaning that you use wisdom to turn your thought.
好，我们继续。于诸佛法心无所爱，住去来经，诸佛之道，随众生住，恒不舍离。
Among all Buddha dharmas, their minds will be without any obstruction. They can dwell in the way of all Buddhas of the past, present, and future. They can dwell in accord with living beings and eternally not renounce or separate from them.
就是继续文殊菩萨解释哈，你会刚才说得到圣妙功德，然后你还会如何呢？你这个人你就会这样有这样的好处。
Okay, so Manjushri Bodhisattva explained. So you not only will you obtain supreme and wonderful merit and virtue, but you will also receive benefits as you see on the screen right now.
假如你懂得善用其心，然后你对一切的佛法就没有所障碍，包括我们这一次学的11堂法，相信看到了很多梁王忏文里面的伟大的那种大愿，还有文殊菩萨的一些大愿，对我们一个凡夫来讲呢是有所障碍的，我发不出，我也记不起来。这些佛法给你学到了，但是对你是有产生障碍，因为你不懂得用。你听了，哇，这么伟大，但是遇到境界，你发不出那个愿，就是变成说那个佛法对你有所障碍了。那怎么样能够呢？学佛法的时候，闻到多么殊胜的法门哦，是成佛的法门，你又能够呢无障碍的吸收在你的心田当中，然后懂得在境界的时候，在平常生活当中可以用呢？这个就如果你做得到呢，又听得懂，又就是能信能解哈，又能行，最后能证的话，就表示你这个人已经于诸佛法心无所爱。学大乘法，学菩萨法，佛的法都无障碍。
Okay, so skillfully using the mind. All the dharmas we learn have no obstructions. Let's say we vow the Lianghuang repentance. We saw this all wonderful great vows and Manjushri Bodhisattva's great vows. But to ordinary living beings, there are obstructions. They cannot bring themselves to make these vows. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how to apply it. They heard the vows, wow, so wonderful, so great. But when the state comes, they cannot really bring forth the resolve to make these vows. So this is considered having an obstruction with the Dharma that you have learned. Now the Dharma is so wonderful, and it can be, it's so wonderful. So how can you be able to hear it without any obstructions and absorb it fully, so that in everyday life, in the states you encounter daily, you can apply them. Now, if you have listened to it, you believe in it, you understand it, and then if you can apply it, put it into practice, then it's considered not having any obstructions. with the Dharma that you have listened. So both Buddha Dharma, the Mahayana Dharma have no obstructions.
你们有看到？我现在给你们看 YouTube 哦。这个第10堂呢，有一位居士，他就写了一段文，他说，从以前到现在，几乎每一次听法师讲经说法时，弟子都会感到一股压力。有翻译哦。
Okay, so this is a comment on the YouTube on the video that we released, and she said, from past until present, every time when I listen to the Dhamma Master lecture, I feel a sense of pressure.
可能知道自己是无法做到法师所设定的标准。
And I probably know that I cannot reach the standard that Dhamma Master had talked about.
这种感觉就像最差的同学突然被分到了精英班去上课一样。
And how I feel was like I'm the worst student in the class, and all of a sudden I'm sent to the gifted class.
有时觉得自己就像个石头，不管法师灌了多少瓶甘露都渗不进去，惭愧。
And I feel like I'm a piece of rock. Doesn't really matter how much sweet dew Dhamma Master has poured in, it just won't go in. I feel very ashamed.
不过弟子最近看到了一篇偶益大师对于文法功德的开示，自己一瞬间想通了。
However, I have recently read an instructional talk by Great Master O.E. It's regarding the merit and virtue of listening to the Dharma, and suddenly I connected.
偶益大师在《灵峰中论》卷第2之义的时候有提到，履三宝地具出世仪，皆多结善种，况闻正法乎？
Okay, so this is in Row 2, Section 1 in the discourse on the Lingfeng Zong. So O.E. Dashi said that if you tread or go to the ground of the 3 treasures, and you have the appearance of a 去出世仪就是 monastic, right?
出世就transcending Dharma 的那种仪式。
Oh, okay. So,
因为你来到三宝地哦，你就开始修这种大正法，就出世法，你就已经有这一种出世的仪轨的。
Oh, okay. So this is the ground of the 3 treasures, and you come to listen to the Dharma, and we have ceremonies or rituals of transcendental Dharma. It's all because you have planted lots of wholesome seeds in the past, let alone listening or hearing the proper Dharma.
对，闻正法更加是多结善种。邻国有一老者，众福50余年，求来世做一个烧火僧都不可得。而有听法的白鸽呢，他转身就变成了戒环禅师，闻法功德超胜如此。
So in the Ning state or this country, there was an old man. He had cultivated blessings for more than 50 years, and his wish was, in the future, he would like to enter the monastic life and serve in the kitchen as the one who lit fire. But he was not able to fulfill his wish. But a white pigeon who had just listened to the Dharma could transform and be reborn as Chan Master Jiehuan. The merit and virtue of listening to the Dharma surpass this. It's so supreme, like this. 还是 surpass?
超胜如此啊，就是这么样出。
It's so supreme and wonderful.
所以他说，从今以后呢，弟子听法师讲法的时候，也要像那只白鸽一样。想必白鸽听经都不会去想，啊，我只是一只白鸽啊，我怎么能做得到啊？
Therefore, from now on, after I listen to the Dhamma Master lecturing, I am going to be like that white pigeon, because I'm thinking, when the white pigeon listens to the sutra lectures, it would not think, oh, I'm just a white pigeon, how can I do what you say?
甚至很有可能连一句都听不懂。
Or maybe we cannot even understand one sentence.
因为它毕竟是白鸽嘛。
Because it's a pigeon.
可见呢，做到或做不到，有资格或没资格，并不是那么重要。最重要的是有没有闻到。
So what I understood is whether you could do it or not, whether you are qualified or not, is not so important. The most important thing is, have you listened to the Dharma?
想想，其实也没有所谓的做到或做不到，有资格或没资格，这些都是自性本具足的。
So now I'm thinking about it, there is really no whether I can do it or I cannot do it, whether I'm qualified or not qualified, because all of this are repleted within our inherent nature.
弟子相信，终有一天，所有听法者都会回归到本觉的自性。
I believe that someday all the listeners in the Dharma, all of us here, will eventually return to our inherent nature, our original enlightenment.
本具的智慧德相也会因此完全显现出来。
The meritorious appearance of our inherent wisdom will entirely manifest and appear.
到时候自然的就会发起不可思议、充满法界的大愿。
And then we will naturally bring forth the inconceivable great vows that pervades the entire Dharma realm.
也自然的会见一切佛微妙法身，见一切众生本性清净，见一切法皆悉即灭，见一切刹同于虚空，知一切相皆无碍故。
And then we'll naturally see all the subtle, wonderful Dharma body of the Buddha. We will see that all living beings have the pure inherent nature. We will see all dharmas are still and quiescent. We will see all kshetras is the same, identical as the infinite space, and we will know that all characteristics are without obstructions.
好，所以给你看那个是，这个其中一位听法者在线上的他的反应。但是我觉得这个就是他听经的时候呢，有一个压力感的，就是他就用自己的我见来听嘛，听了觉得哇这样子，我是凡夫，我做不到。那所以听到的法对他来讲就有所障碍，好像不是他的东西。
Okay, so this is one of the feedback from people who have listened to the Dharma, because every time she listens, she feels a sense of pressure and say, oh, I come to listen, but I cannot do what was said. I'm here. I'm an ordinary person. When I listen to this, I have pressure, I have obstruction. And this is to use your own view to look at the Dharma.
对，就有障碍咯。
And then therefore obstructions occur.
但是如果呢，我希望你今天听好了哟，那个人有在场啊，你一定要善用其心。当你听到那个佛法是，你要成佛一定要走这样的路，你做不到没关系，你当下你就发愿，愿我及众生一定能够做得到这个，跟这个十大愿合而为一，你就发这个愿啊，这个就是你的，已经在你的囊中的一个宝物了。就是这一颗念头就救了你，就是你的了。不然你在那边遥望哦，这个货很不错哦，但是不是我能买得起？这个是你就不要把它收为你自己的，那你永远你都不是你的。你要等好久好久之后，你才有一天你做得到。你要很快做得到，你要学上人这一招。我讲过了，上人说，我看一本经，我一定先动一个念头，我要跟这本经合而为一。所以你既然你现在听的是经文啊，不是任何凡夫的知见，是佛的知见讲出来，经口说出来的大法，那都是我们必须要走的路。我们就要发愿，我要跟华严经合而为一啊，我要跟这几句法语合而为一，愿一切众生也能如此。所以一边听经一边发愿啊，那个经文全部就很深刻的烙印在你的阿赖耶识，那个种子种下去是很强大的。它如果你从今以后每天又在发愿，早晚一次的话，很快你就做得到，你就可以感觉这个法原来是可以转化你的烦恼心的一种很强大的力量。
Okay, so when we listen to the Dharma and we say, oh, it's so profound, we can't really do it. It's okay, you don't have to worry about it. What you can do is, after you listen to it, you will make a vow and say, may all the living beings and I will be able to embody this Dharma. You can make this great vow, and then this becomes your treasure, your own treasure in your own heart.
不一定要 after lecture。你在翻译的时候，他是听中文，他就可以发愿了。
Okay, you don't have to wait until after the lecture, just as when you heard it, as the translator is translating, because you'll listen to Chinese, then you can make this great vow already. It's like, oh, you have this, there's a treasure, and then you're looking at it from afar, you say, oh, this is really wonderful, but I don't have any money to buy it. Then if you have to wait until you earn so much money to buy it, you have to wait for a long time. So Venerable Master taught us this one method. He said, whenever you listen to a sutra lecture, you open a sutra text, you make vows that you want to become one with this sutra, meaning that you'll be able to embody all the principles in it. So that it will not be that, oh, the sutra is the sutra and you is you. Don't use our ordinary views as our ordinary people to regard the great Dharma. When you listen to the Avatamsaka Sutra, then you make vows. I want to be one with the Avatamsaka Sutra. So as you listen to the sutra lecture, you can also make this vow. Then the sutra text will be deeply ingrained in your alaya consciousness. You can either make a vow in the morning, make a vow at night, twice a day, and then whatever dharma that you listen to can eventually transform your afflictions. It will become a really strong, powerful energy that will help you.
住去来经诸佛之道，就是善用其心的人呢，他就可以住在过去、现在、未来诸佛所行的道上，就走同一条成佛的路了。
Okay, then it says that then they can dwell in the way of all Buddhas of the past, present, and the future. That means that they are treading the path of the Buddha, the past and the present. They are walking the same path the Buddhas have walked before.
我们呢，虽然是说受了五戒乃至菩萨戒，或者出了家，我们虽然每天都有念经、念咒或者服务。修诸功德，但是如果你一起烦恼心，当下忘失菩提心，你当下是没有走在佛道的，你已经走偏了，当下是走偏，就要靠一些力量让你再拉回来佛道。所以怎么样能够确保自己永远都是在佛道呢？就要常常善用其心咯，一直转念头咯，而懂得回光返照啊，改过啊，发愿啊，求佛加倍啊，然后你就比较容易保持正念。
Okay, so we have taken the 5 precepts every day. We recite the sutras, the mantras, and we do lots of community service in the monastery. We cultivate all kinds of merit and virtue. But if we forget our Bodhi resolve, then at that very moment, we have deviated from the path of the Buddha. Then we have to pull ourselves back to the path of the Buddha. Then we have to skillfully use our mind to return the light, to reflect within, to change our mistakes, our faults. We ask for the Buddha's blessings so we can maintain right mindfulness.
住在佛道的人呢，他又能够进一步随众生住，恒不舍离。也就是说，你心里所踏的是佛道，但是你跟谁在一起，你的身体还是跟谁相处？一切众生同样住在那个地点，没问题的，不用去舍离他们。说这些众生每天弄到我很烦恼，让我不能用功。我要用功，他们又在吵我了。尤其是有家庭的人，对吗？你会想说，我要离开家里，我要去庙里住，我比较可以修行。哪里知道去到庙里更忙了，根本没有时间修，要做功课也没有时间做。所以这个问题不在众生给你障碍，而是你怎么样呢？就顺着你的那个环境，你的因缘果报是这样子的人会围绕着你，你家人也好，或者你的同参道友都好，这个就是你往昔跟他们结得很深的缘，你今世在一起了，你就是要怎么样去不被他们转包，还是住在佛道，又能够把他拉回来跟你一起走佛道，你就是在行菩萨道了。 所以这个菩萨们呢，住在佛道啊，是不舍离任何一个有缘的众生。
Okay, so those who are those who dwell in the way of all Buddhas of the past, present, and in future, at the same time, what can they do? They can also dwell in accord with living beings and eternally not renounce or separate from them. What does this mean? That because you are walking the path of the Buddha, and then in your mind, and then but your body will not forsake any living beings. You will not leave them. You don't really have to be separated with these living beings, because you said, these people are just so troublesome, I'm so afflicted by them, I really want to apply efforts, but I cannot, and they just have fun. So especially those who have family, you said, I really want to apply efforts, I want to recite sutras, but I always have things around me. I'm going to go to the temple and cultivate there. Well, little do you know, when you go to the temple, you're even busier because you have to do so much more work than when you're at home. So the problem does not lie in the living beings who give you obstructions. You can still accord with the environment, accord with the cause and conditions, accord with the retributions that you are reaping now. Why are these living beings around you? It's because in the past you have really tied profound, deep affinities with them. So how can you stay with them and not be turned by them? And then when they aren't doing something very good, you can still pull them back to walk on the path of the Buddha. So those who walk the path of the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas will not really forsake all living beings who have affinities with you.
所以这一条大家注意嘛，跟我们前天讲的他的10大愿有没有？如果众生恭敬我不恭敬我，然后他见我还是诽谤我，都无障碍，我要让他跟我有缘，令他发菩提心。他就是用他这个大愿呢，让自己跟任何一个有缘无缘的众生在一起的时候，都没有妨碍他修诸功德。都一样在行菩萨道，不会给他们烦到，也不会弄到自己有情绪。
Okay, so this is similar to the great vows we talked about, the 10 great vows we talked about 2 days ago. Whether living beings respect me or do not respect me, because they have affinities with me, I would not be obstructed by them. I can still cultivate all kinds of merit and virtue. I can still cultivate the Bodhisattva path, so that we can enable them to bring forth the Bodhi resolve and enter the path of the Buddha.
好，继续啊，大家读。如诸法相，悉能通达，断一切恶，具足众善。
Okay, continue with regard to the suchness of the true appearance of all dharmas. They can completely penetrate and understand. They can cut off all evil and be endowed with all good.
这一段很好各位。
This is a really wonderful passage, everybody.
你不需要离开你讨厌的人，你能够有智慧，如诸法相，悉能通达。就一切的万法，这诸法不是指佛法罢了，就万事万物，一切的人事物，世间法、出世间法，一切的万象，你都能通达。所以你不会因为看到人家做出一件对你不好的一种事情，他敌对你或者伤害你，这个法相出现的时候，你还会冷静，你会做你自己的第三者。旁观者，你会去旁观你这一件事情你会跳出来，你会观这个法相，他在说我，如果他说他，我会难过吗？你会跟自己讲，因为你知道说，这个事情你会跳出来观察你起烦恼这件事情，你会去观察这个法相，你会通达了解说，他会这样对我，然后如果他这样对别人，我会难过吗？你就找到那个。你起烦恼的根，原来是因为你有我相不空，所以讲到你会不高兴。如果讲别人就跟你没关系，你就不会那么 有情绪反应，你就知道呢，问题卡在我还没有我空，我修的还不够格，是我的问题。然后你就要找法子，让自己能够呢，不再受这种挑战所影响自己。就像那天我有一次讲的，你可以发现说，佛啊，刚才呢那个人这样对待我，我真的很不开心啊。希望佛你给我力量，从今以后，如果还有这种情况出现，而且比刚才那个情况还糟糕几千万倍，你一定要加倍弟子哦，让弟子到时候绝对不会再动一个恶念。我希望我动的念头是善用其心，则获一切圣妙功德的那一种念头。然后你诚心念佛，如果你念阿弥陀佛，你就诚心念10句南无阿弥陀佛。这个念佛的光明力，跟你刚才的发愿愿意让自己的修行更上一层楼的这个愿力，也是光明的。佛的光明跟你的愿力的光明，就可以驱走你刚才那个烦恼黑暗的力量。然后以后你就有办法面对，你越来越能够通达，哎呀，一切都是如幻如化，你就越来越不会那么在乎这人生如梦的一切境界。你才能够保住自己，时时断一切恶，具足众善。所以这4句呢，非常重要的。
Okay, so this is a really wonderful passage because all dharmas, myriad phenomena, all people, matters, things, myriad appearances, you will be able to. You can completely penetrate and understand. You will not see, oh, someone is doing something very bad, and then someone is on your opposite side, and they're your enemies. When this kind of dharma appearance appears, then you will be able to jump out and be the third person to observe your own afflictions. You'll be able to have a dialogue with yourself and observe. This particular dharma appearance or characteristic, and you will ask yourself, if she is talking or he is talking about someone else, well, would I be sad? The reason why I'm sad is because I still have an ego. Because when they're talking about someone else, I certainly will not be afflicted, but when they're talking about me, I'm extremely inflicted. So the problem is not in other people. The problem is in I myself, because I have not emptied out the appearance of self. I still have an ego. So what do? I'm going to have to find a way to resolve this problem. So when I get this challenge next time, I will no longer be afflicted. Right? So remember we talked about... yeah, it's coming. So then what will you do? Remember we talked about this in the first class or other classes just in the past, that you will pray to the Buddha. I really hope that you will give me strength from now on. If I've encountered a situation that is worse than hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands times than what I just encountered, I will not even move an evil thought, a bad thought. I'm going to skillfully use my mind to gather in all the merit and virtue. So since then you sincerely recite Amitabha Buddha's name or Bodhisattva's name 10 times. Now, when you recite Amitabha Buddha's name or Bodhisattva's name, that is power of radiance, that is power of light. And then when you make the vow, that's also a really bright light. That's also bright power. So you have the radiance, you have the light from the Buddha, you have the light from your making this vow. Then of course you will be able to understand that, oh, in the future when I encounter this situation, they are all illusory. They are just dreamlike. You wouldn't really pay too much attention to all these things that are just like dreams. You will be able to completely cut off all evil and be endowed with all good.
就是在反省后发愿求佛加倍，让我做得到，然后就念那尊佛的名。
Okay, so the process is you will reflect upon yourself, you introspect, you ask the Buddha to bless you, then you make the vow, and then you recite 10 times whichever Buddha or Bodhisattva's name that you ask for blessing from, 10 times sincerely.
继续，当如普贤色相第一，一切横愿皆得具足，于一切法无不自在，而为众生第二导师。
There will be like universal worthy who is foremost in his physical appearance. They will be replete with conduct and vows. There is no dharma with which they do not feel at ease. They act as the second guiding teacher for living beings.
如果肯这么样子修的话，常常善用其心的话呢，你看果报多好诶！从那边开始，我们再读一遍好吗？大家读：若诸菩萨善用其心，则获一切甚妙功德。然后呢，于诸佛法心无所爱，住去来经诸佛之道，随众生住，恒不舍离。如诸法相悉能通达，断一切恶，具足众善。然后你的果报怎么样？当如普贤色相第一，一切横愿皆得具足，于一切法无不自在，而为众生第二导师。多好，很快就可以教化一切众生了。
Okay, so if you know how to skillfully use your mind, this is the reward that you will have. So let's read it again. Disciples of the Buddha, if all bodhisattvas can skillfully use their minds, they will attain all supreme and wonderful merit and virtue. Among all Buddha dharmas, their minds will be without any obstruction. They can dwell in the way of all Buddhas of the past, present, and future. They can dwell in accord with living beings and eternally not renounce or separate from them. With regard to the suchness of the true appearance of all dharmas, they can completely penetrate and understand. They can cut off all evil and be endowed with all good. Then this is your reward. They will be like universal worthy who is foremost in his physical appearance. They will be replete with conduct and vows. There is no dharma with which they do not feel at ease. They act as the second guiding teacher for living beings.
我讲法者自己越讲越开心，不知道你们有没有越听越开心？
I, as the lecturer, as the speaker, the more I talk about this particular topic, the happier I get. I don't know if you, as the audience, are happier or are happy.
Translator, how are you?
Well, the translator is very happy.
很开心啊，真的，我们都要发这个愿。
We're all very happy, so I think this is a vow we should all learn to make.
只有发愿能够让我们跟法合而为一。
Only when we make vows could we become one with the Dharma.
你的愿力让你跟它合成一个，你没有那个想要做得到的心，你永远做不到，你就很困难，不是永远啊，就要很久很久，在佛法里面熏修了很久，供佛供了很久之后，才有办法做得到。但如果你的愿力，它可以让你呢，可能在10000劫供佛的条件哦，你不用10000劫，你就已经做得到了。
Okay, so if you make the vow, your vow will help you become one with the sutra text, with the Dharma. But if you don't make the vow, your mind never intended to practice this, then you will never, or it will just take a long time before you can do it. You have to be permeated within the Dharma for a long time. For example, you have to make offerings to the Buddha for, let's say, 10,000 kalpas before you can do this. But then if you make vows, originally it would take you 10,000 kalpas, but then with the power of your vows, you'll be able to do this very fast.
一切为什么？一切为心造，就是《华严经》里面的一段精髓。因观法界性，一切为心造。
Okay, so Everything is made from what? Everything is made from the mind alone. So this is a passage in the Avatamsaka Sutra. It says that that we should contemplate the nature of all Dharma realm. Everything is made from the mind alone.
这个为什么说一切唯心造哦？你看六祖大师他开悟哦，也是见的自性嘛哈。他见的自性了，他说何其自性本质清净，有没有？啊，我把它找出来给你们看。
Okay, so the sixth patriarch also was enlightened, and he has seen his inherent nature. It says that our inherent nature is pure. So I will bring out the sutra text for you.
我们大家读。何其自性本质清净，何其自性本不生灭。
So he said to the patriarch, how unexpected! The inherent nature is originally pure in itself. How unexpected! The inherent nature is originally neither produced nor destroyed.
然后。何其自性本质具足，何其自性本无动摇，何其自性能生万法。
How unexpected! The inherent nature is originally complete in itself. How unexpected! The inherent nature is originally without movement. How unexpected! The inherent nature can produce the 10,000 dharmas.
好，我们来看哦，我们还没有开悟，但是我们很庆幸有六祖大师告诉我们他悟了什么东西。好。
Although we are not enlightened yet, but we are very fortunate that the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, the Sixth Patriarch is telling us what he was enlightened to.
就是他看到了自己的自性了。
It's that he has seen his own inherent nature.
他是清净的，不生灭的。
It is pure, it does not come into being nor cease to be, or the old translation is produced nor destroyed.
然后它又是每个人本身就具足的自性。
And that is something that everyone is originally complete, is repleted within, originally complete in itself.
这个自性也没有动摇的。
It does not move.
它能够生万法。
It can produce the 10,000 dharmas.
好。这个呢，就跟我那天告诉你们的那个其中一场，就是药王菩萨圣诞那天的那一场有关联。
Okay, so this is related to the lecture when we talked about the medicine king Bodhisattva.
有没有看到？
Can you see?
空生大觉中如海一欧发。
It says emptiness created within great awakening is like a single bubble in the great sea.
好，就是说这个大觉就是自性，它是没事的，它是最大的，然后它产生的虚空也是无明，一念无明就生三系嘛哈，就这一切虚空从哪里来？从无明那边来，因为我们无始以来不知道什么时候突然间动了一念无明哦。就在这个自性没事的自性哦，产生了一个小泡沫，就生出虚空。
Okay, so the great awakening is just our inherent nature, and within that inherent nature, there is empty space, or we call infinite space. Where does infinite space come from? It comes forth from our inherent nature. It comes from our, infinite space comes from our ignorance, because it says, without being aware of one single thought, then the three subtle arise. So originally our inherent nature has nothing going on in there, it's just our Buddha nature. But then because of our ignorance, our delusion, these little bubbles come into being. And because of this little bubble, we have ignorance, which is empty space.
所以我们看回去刚才那个自性哦，你看那个自性呢，就是像刚才那个大海、大觉海这样子的，具足圆满， 无动无摇，但是它能生万法。假如你不要用无明用你的真心去生出来的万法，就是那些大愿就会帮你回去自信。但是如果你用无明来去动念的，就造轮回业咯。所以这个自信能生万法就是所谓的因观法界性，一切唯心造嘛假如用无明的心念呢去动念的生出来的万法呢，一定是轮回的这种种的果报。但是如果我们是发清净愿的话，发菩提愿的话呢，用你的心真诚心去发菩提愿，不要怀疑自己，就发愿，就让佛来护持你成就，就让十方三宝护持你成就，那你很快就可以回去自信。所以每一条大愿不可思议大愿，充满法界的每一条大愿都是帮助你回去自信的大愿那个力量。所以你还是要发，而且要诚心发，带众生发，这样子的愿力，这样子的心念呢，真诚的心念是回去自信成佛的。如果不愿意发这种念头，用自己的想法去动种种的无明念的话，那又继续搞轮回了。所以呢，有无明没无明的动念是差很远的。
Okay, so we just talked about we want to go back to our inherent nature. We want to return to our inherent nature that is just like the great sea, which is repleted with everything. It's perfect. It does not move, and it is pure. So if we do not use our ignorance, but with our true mind, then all myriad dharmas come forth. Then we can go back. We can return to our inherent nature. But if we use our ignorance to produce all kinds of thoughts, then we continue to create the karma to transmigrate on the sixth path. So it says that we should contemplate the nature of all dharma realms. Everything is made from the mind alone. If we use ignorance, then all kinds of karmic retributions will come about. If we use pure vows, our pure nature to make this vow, then the Buddha comes to support you, to protect you, and help you realize the way. So then we can return to our inherent nature very fast. So that's why earlier we said that the Bodhisattvas have inconceivable great vows that pervade all the Dharma realm. So pervading the Dharma realm means going back to our inherent nature. So if we can sincerely use our mind, then we can return to our inherent nature. If not, if we use ignorance, we will continue to transmigrate. So there is really a big difference if you use ignorance or if you use your true mind.
剩5分钟了，还是把这个讲了吧。就是说，你的果报就是你越修就越有普贤菩萨的庄严相。你普贤菩萨的色相端严是最第一的，你也会变成像他这样庄严。
Okay, so we have 5 minutes left. We'd like to wrap this up. It says that the more you cultivate, the more you will be adorned, just like universal worthy bodhisattva.
一切恨愿皆得具足，就是说你所修的恨呢会越来越伟大咯，然后你也有办法，你的恨呢不管是大小，你都用愿力来修那个恨，所以你做每一件事情都是恨愿来去做的，所以是恨愿具足的。
Okay, so the more we cultivate this conduct and vows, the greater they will become. So whether your practice, your conducts are big or small, if you can make vows to cultivate them, then 如果大小恨都是用愿力去修，
然后
then everything we do
一切恨愿皆得具足啊，你就是具足恨愿嘛，就不管大小的恨都要发那个愿，这样你的恨呢都是有恨愿两个一起去做，不是单单的。你看我们一般人譬如去厨房煮东西，你会一边煮一边发愿吗？ 都忙得不得了了，就切菜，都没有什么发愿。但是如果你有定力了，你应该是发愿的，一边煮一边发愿，一边念佛来加持。那你煮这一顿呢，你是修了很多恨愿，就恨愿煮饭，恨愿做为农，恨愿去用恨愿去打法器，这样子你就是真的，你的修行是有恨跟愿，力量很强大。有发愿没有发愿呢，做出来的东西效果是摄受众生的力量是不同的。
Okay, so whether it's like a small practice or great practice, you can make vows. That means all your practices are filled with vows. Then that means you're practicing your vows and your cultivation together. So let's see. We ordinary people, when we go to the kitchen to work, do we work in the kitchen and make vows at the same time? We usually are very busy in the kitchen and we just cut our vegetables and cut our vegetables. We don't usually make vows. But if you can work there and then make vows or recite the Buddha's name, then that meal that you're cooking is replete with your practice and your vows. Whether you're working in the kitchen, you're being a waino, a cantor, whether you're doing helping with Dharma instrument, that power is very, very strong. It's very great. Whether you make vows or not, the power or the strength that you can gather in living beings also varies, also different.
一切法而不自在就是你面对一切的境界，一切人事物，包括生老病死的境界，你都是自在的，不会慌的，没有什么忧悲苦恼的。
Okay, and then there is no dharma with which you do not feel at ease. So treating people, different matters or different things, even facing birth, old age, sickness or death, you will be at ease. You will not panic.
不会忧悲苦恼。
You will not have worries and distress.
然后你还可以教其他众生跟你一样自在，一样去成佛。
Then you can teach other living beings to be at ease just like you, and they can also become Buddhas.
愿我及众生
May all living beings and I,
念念都能
in thought after thought,
与一切法无不自在，
be at ease with all dharmas.
一切恨怨皆得具足，
Be replete with all practices and vows,
当如普贤色相第一，
just like universal worthy bodhisattva who is foremost in his physical appearance.
而为众生第二导师。
Then we can be the second guiding teacher for living beings.
南无阿弥陀佛。
Namo Amitabha.
我们下课
Okay, time is up. Transference.
回向。
愿以此功德庄严佛净土，上报四重恩，下济三途苦。若有见闻者，悉发菩提心，尽此一报身，同生极乐国顶礼老和尚。那